waiting for this to... Okay, there it goes. Wow, that's the first time there's been a stream delay that has taken that long. So anyway, here I am. Hey, Dead Pianist. Hey, Max Power. Good to see everybody. Not expecting to do a super long session today, but I did want to cover a few specific things that have been going on in the work process and also in sort of the plans going forward. So let's just start right out and say this. With every project I've ever done that's large, okay, and this is large, okay. You know, we've got a 24-minute cartoon here on the timeline, and essentially that's done being animated, and then we've got a second episode that's in process right now. Okay, so we'll be coming back to episode 2 here in a moment, but what I found, Dead Pianist just found an app which fills color in any line art. Awesome. You be sure and let us know how that works out for you. Speaking of apps, I did want to say, by the way, I'll come back to this again shortly, but this is actually Krita 4.4.3, which I downloaded. I'm on Windows, so I use Krita Portable from portableapps.com, and the thing I like about it is that it truly does seem to sandbox Krita so that its configuration is contained in the same folder with the application, which is really kind of nice because you don't have to go browsing into your system folders to get at the Krita configuration data. But long story short is that this is, you know, by far the most stable version of Krita I've ever used. I've only been able to crash it once in like 3 days, so that's huge. And the thing I gotta say is it's both a major improvement in performance and stability, which you never get both. So this is a really cool thing. So anyway, what I was gonna say about the show here is that I've never done a movie, which I've written and directed 8 movies, so I've got some experience regarding in the world of film. Okay, and with every project I've gone through a period, you could call it the dark night of the soul, where you sort of look at your project and you think, oh my God, you know, it's just like, it just sucks, you know, it's just like, I'm just not feeling it, you know. I've never had a movie that this didn't happen with, and for some reason you have to go through that process, and then you begin to re-look at what you're doing, and you see ways to just massage the editing. Maybe you do some things with color, with sound effects, whatever, but somehow you build it up and you wind up with something that works. Well, that's one of the reasons I haven't been live streaming or posting too much the last couple of weeks, is I've been going through the dark night of the soul with this show. The good news is I'm feeling actually pretty good about it. But one thing I realized, there have been many times where I've said that the show is stylistically similar to Avatar: The Last Airbender. And what I've realized is that's not really exactly true. And to my great surprise, what I found was, if there's stylistically something that is more akin to what I'm trying to do, it would actually be Fairy Tail, which is a very, very popular anime, which I had never really watched very much. And the stupid thing about it is, like a year ago, when I was sort of conceiving this show, my beautiful wife Valerie said to me, she pointed to Fairy Tail as being something I might want to look at, you know, that would kind of steer me in the right direction stylistically, creatively, whatever. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, that show's not really my style, it's not really what I'm into, blah, 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 blah. Oh my goodness, she always, 1,000% of the time, turns out to be right. So I went and I looked at that, and I can't really show it on my screen because I don't want to, you know, risk getting a copyright strike or something, but I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Way back here at the beginning of the show, when there's some narration going on, it's just a simple little addition. What where I just added these little dollar signs, because what I'm trying to do is I want to make it really clear for children, because this is aimed at a fairly young audience, right? And I just felt like there's not enough of a fun factor, and we could definitely get some better clarity going on, right? So a really good example of what I'm talking about you'll see here. Again, not big additions, but what I did was in this shot where Asher comes and is going to kind of make a more or less prophetic announcement of, of doom on the king, and the king doesn't usually love that too much. But okay, so just whipping through these examples. Example number one is this little transition right here. It just keeps the tension up, right? That whoop, and I'm really hearing the sound effects. Did a slight change to his dialogue, and then I actually did the same thing here where I pump that up, and then you see another example here in a half second. When he makes this pronouncement, I brought this next shot right here into Blender and added noise so that you sort of have this earthquakey, the ground shakes, right? And then I added this, boop, that little smile right there was not there before. And then see this reaction. Now, when I talk about fairy tale as a stylistic influence, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so you've got these guys. What we had previously was this shot, and it just zooms in, right? Well, what I added was this. Okay, so we're only a minute and a half into it. I wanted to establish early in the show that these types of idioms are going to be part of our language, our entertainment language, if you will. And I think that, and I love that style because it's so visceral. And what I find is, and it's just fun, it's silly, and it's really adding this a little bit more of the silly factor that I've wanted to have be present, throughout the show. So with that, I'm kind of scanning through the episode looking for opportunities to pump up the volume a bit. This is another one. I actually put these words on the screen to just spell out to the kids that, hey, time just went by. Okay, duh. I mean, it's pretty obvious to an adult and probably to a kid too, but it doesn't hurt to just let's just make it as clear and fun as possible. And we're sort of putting the voice of the narrator, if you will, in the show. And I think that's a good thing. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on there with the episode. And I am kind of, as I said, scanning through looking for opportunities to pump it up and fix things up. Okay, so the current scene I'm working on is this one right here. So I'm going to actually switch screens to here and then put this on the... This is a little blurry because it's actually at half resolution right now, but this is the shot I'm working on right now. So monkey's up here. Actually, I should probably give the backdrop. We got this stuff that goes on in the tent, which is a fairly lengthy scene, about 30 seconds, I think. And then it cuts to outside the tent. There's the monkeys looking down at the tent, and then he kind of smells something, okay? And then happy monkey jumps down here, and then he's going to go climb in the tent and try to get at the nuts and dates and good stuff that's down there. Well, I really felt like I could do a better job, on this shot. And so I did what has been, it turns out, it's really funny when I go through my journals. I may have mentioned this in a previous video, but one thing that I've noticed is that without fail, every time that I've blocked in a shot or a scene on paper, it always turns out better. And I've had many instances where I've gone back through my journals and realized that I had blocked in a scene on paper and I had completely forgotten that I had done it. Didn't even remember doing it. And it was really weird how not only did those shots tend to come out better, but also it's almost scary how close the way they came out was exactly what I had done on paper, even if I hadn't followed the paper as a guide, which is really weird. Dead Pianist already finished Fairy Tale. Dude, that's quite an accomplishment because that's like 500 episodes or something. No, I'm really, really shocked by how much I'm enjoying that show. I love the silliness of it, and I think initially I was turned off by the frenetic pace because it is so high energy all the time. But again, in terms of the sort of animation language that I'm trying to employ, it actually hits the mark pretty freaking well. So anyway, a couple notes here about Krita 4.4.3. If you're using Krita, I don't know what you guys are using. Obviously, as Dead Penis has mentioned here, you know, you guys are always exploring different apps that are out there for doing different kinds of things, such as coloring animations. I'm sticking with the tried and true at the moment, which is Blender, Tahoma, Krita. I'm really, really glad to report that Krita has been performing extremely, it's performing better and it's more stable with 4.4.3. I mean, major, major improvement over 4.4.1. So this is the latest version, and it's probably the version I am more impressed with than any version of Krita I've ever used. Just because, as I said, I mean, what you want is you want to be able to just get your work done, right? You want to just sit down, rock and roll, and not be constantly dealing with either choppy performance or crashes, right? So anyway, as I'm looking at this particular shot, there's a couple things I want to mention. This is not new to Krita 4.4.3, but there's something about Krita that I never knew before. Okay, 6 months ago or something, I sort of figured out a whole way of creating like a clone of a layer. I'll give an example. Let's just go in and we'll just call this arm to make things simple. So let's put in monkey's arm, and I'm going to draw it in the front, and then we'll move it to the back. So what I'm going to do is hit the G key so that let me see here. Probably want that pencil, and normally I like to set it at 6. I need to go in and make some mods to my brush presets. But anyway, so if I hit the G key and go like this, let's just put his arm in here. So it's off screen essentially. What I didn't realize is I had this really convoluted system for taking a layer in Krita, cloning it, and then adding a bunch of filter overlays. I'll get to your question in a second, Max. Well, I didn't realize that Krita has this layer style. I didn't even know that was there. And it turns out this is really, really useful. The biggie for the current application is stroke. It actually does exactly what I sort of figured out on my own. It already does for you. And I literally never realized that. So that was kind of happy news. So I'm going to say I want this stroke to be inside. And other than that, it's probably set about right. But what it'll do is it'll go ahead and track the animation and automatically put in those outlines for me throughout the whole scene. Now, one thing I do want to say about that is that it is a performance hit. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me go ahead and put in the animation for that I was gonna do anyway, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. If I go here, I think on this particular frame, we'll probably just kind of take this down like that. Okay, and as you can see, after you move things around, it just redraws the outlines for you. So it's like, holy cow, that's pretty useful. Okay. Yeah, okay, so I think what we want to do here is probably just insert a new key. Let me make sure I got the right color. G. And let's hit the old insert. Okay, I want to kind of think about what I'm doing here. Let's get to the final position. Probably here, and then I'll animate it back down, so we'll kind of work in reverse. But as you can see, when I draw these shapes, Krita just kind of knows what to do. So I think now what I'll do is go ahead and put the bag in there. The bag was kind of a little bit of a, maybe a slightly bluish. Okay, so Shift Alt Q, I'm going to go into behind mode so I can literally just draw this in here like that. I mean, I think this is, it's not the end all, but it sure is cool. Okay, so Krita's putting those outlines in for me. I don't know if, let me check here. I don't know if you have the ability to tell it to actually stroke everything. Yeah, not really. You can stroke the inside, outside, or center of the outside edge, but I'd still have to go in and draw the outlines in the center. But that's fine. I mean, that's just part of the process. So I'm gonna hit the G key again, and what I want to do is just kind of sketch this in. Okay, that was wrong. Not horrible. Okay, I hit the erase key. Chop that off. Okay, I don't like that. I want to be careful here not to be getting overly sloppy just because I'm trying to hurry to demonstrate. So actually, I'm going to correct this. What is supposed to happen here is monkey's hand comes up, and then probably need to go like that. Okay. Frankly, this is just a one frame tween, but honestly this should probably be out like that. So I mentioned the one frame tween thing because the question is whether we're going to completely redraw the bag or whether that's important. And the answer is not sure yet. But again, as you can see, okay, let me answer Max's question. I don't know, dude. I don't know. There are increasingly pieces of the show that I'm considering allowing to sneak up to 12 frames a second. The reality is that, well, especially using fairy tale as an example. I mean, if you really look at it, what you have is you got character animation that's sometimes at 2 frames a second. You know, it's really, really frenetic. But the camera moves, the camera shake, the effects, essentially the stuff that's really fast and cheap and easy to do is often done at 12 or even 24 frames a second. So would kids notice that the overall frame rate's 8 frames a second? I don't know. So we'll leave that out there. The reason anime is typically animated, you know, the characters are animated at 6 or 8 frames a second is just for cost considerations. And the only difference with what I'm doing is that I haven't been doing like well, you know what? In fact, that's actually not true. As a matter of fact, come to think of it, if you go back over here, whenever I have the camera like pushing in or something, that's at the actual frame rate of the show. So I'm trying to find a shot here that actually has a digital push in, but basically this timeline is 24 frames a second. It's just that the character animation is at 8. So whenever there's a digital camera move, hey Maria, happy Monday to you too. Whenever there's a digital camera move, that is at 24 frames a second. So you know, what we have here really is kind of a mix of frame rates actually anyway. So let me just double check this, see if this, yeah, that works. Okay, so now the thing I was going to do here was put a little, no biggie. I shouldn't be in behind mode anymore, by the way. You silly goose. So yeah, we'll just fix those outlines here in half a second. And now I'm going to take this and actually erase right there. This should be like that. Boom. Okay, yeah. And then here, obviously, another bit of ooh, that was not quite what I had in mind. A little bit of erasing. Okay. Let's see if that kind of sort of worked. Okay, boom. Okay, yeah. It's a bit of a jump. The jump seems a little strong to me, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on my onion skins and amend that slightly. Let's make that a little less extreme. And I would say let's squeeze in the edges just a little bit more. Don't have to be too picky about it because it is a one frame tween. We're not going to be noticing. Okay, boom. Okay, I think, yeah, this should actually be back one frame. Because by the time he stops, the bag would already be doing what it's going to do. Okay, so now we should probably get the outlines in there properly because we're going to be duplicating this. We're going to be animating it. So let's just pull out a little bit here. And okay, so the thing I was going to say about the layer effects, I'm going to go ahead and do this right now. If you're getting a bit of a performance hit from layer effects, which there's quite a few cool ones like glows and drop shadows and things like that. Another example would be, if I recall correctly, not the drop shadow, but the, well, let's try inner shadow and see what that does. Or something that doesn't quite work, but what was it I used? Maybe it was inner glow. Inner glow doesn't have to be a glow. I mean, it can be a dark color, right? Obviously. So you can add noise to it. And I think we'll go with straight multiply here and see what that does. Okay, I see. So that puts it all the way around. So yeah, you would definitely want to use the inner shadow for what I'm trying to do. But so it doesn't work all the time, but it can be kind of useful. My point was that you're going to get a performance hit when you start stacking up these layer styles. And the solution for that is to, you would think, is to flatten the layer. And you can do that. And that will bake the effects into the layer. But what I have found is that, like has always been true with Krita, what you generally want to do is hit Control G, put the affected layer in a group, and then merge the group, which does the same thing as flattening the layer, but A, it's faster, and B, you get a lot more predictable results where you don't get these sort of anomalies. Let's just call them anomalies. Little artifacts from the calculations that Krita is doing that can leave messy garbage on your screen. It's kind of like here you can see the choppiness of the buffering. Okay, well, wouldn't it be uncool if you baked your layer down, you know, bake the effects into your layer, and then those little choppy holes, like right there. Okay, there's a great example. I don't want to let my mouse up because it might go away, but like that little problem right there. You know, if all of a sudden you found you had these anomalies baked into your animation, then you have to go back and fix them. That can happen when you flatten a layer with either transform masks, to a much lesser degree filter masks. Filter masks tend to not introduce a lot of anomalies. Transform masks almost always do. But generally putting stuff in a group and merging the group for whatever silly reason under the hood seems to make everything happen much more predictably. Okay, so hey Darren, good to see you. Chris K says, how's the crowdfunding going? Now that gets back to what I was saying about the stylistic considerations, you know, and how kind of gobsmacked I was when I was looking at Fairy Tale and going, oh my gosh, this is, you know, this is kind of more what I've been trying to do here, you know. And so the latter part of March, I specifically, and the reason I haven't been live streaming a lot and stuff, is that I wanted to give the rest of March to really allowing myself to have that dark night of the soul where you think your show completely sucks, which, again, every time I've ever done a movie, I've gone through it. I have a period of time where I think, oh, geez, this is terrible. Nobody's ever going to want to see this, yada, yada, yada. It's just a normal part of the creative process. So I knew that was going to happen, and I wanted to not only get through that, but also look at some things from the workflow standpoint, and just creatively, just step back. I wanted to just step back, look at the whole thing, and make sure that I'm comfortable with the idea that I can deliver what I'm sort of promising to deliver. The truth is, at this point, I feel pretty confident, actually. I mean, I've sort of gone through that dark night of the soul. This is literally the last 5 days. A lot of journaling, a lot of thinking through what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And my intent to answer Chris's question was to give the rest of March to really making sure I'm comfortable with the direction going forward. And to my surprise, actually, after going through that process, I'm more confident that my initial vision for the crowdfunding was actually pretty right, pretty correct in terms of what I'm trying to accomplish and what I'm asking for, and yada, yada, yada. So the short answer to your question is it hasn't started yet. The long answer is that's because I didn't want to actually loose the thing until I was 100% sure that I had the approach and the pitch correct, and consistent with what I really wanted to be doing, with the next period of time in my life. So as I'm scanning back and forth here, you guys can see a lot of those anomalies I was talking about. Let's go ahead and fix up the, there's one languishing on the screen right now. So you see things just disappear. On frame 1, we shouldn't even be seeing this, actually. We should be seeing that. So like I said, and that's because, like I said, under the hood, Krita's calculating quite a lot of stuff. I mean, to have these automagic outlines take place requires, it's having to create virtual layers under the hood and then stroke them and then composite them over top and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, so you can always just turn the effects off too when you're going through and doing the work, right? So anyway, yeah, I think the effects, or what Krita actually calls layer styles, are quite useful. So, okay. Glad to hear your things moving forward well, Maria. That's great. I'm actually, as I say, kind of, again, harkening back to Chris's question, I think we're getting quite a lot closer to sort of pinning down what we're doing with voices as well in this thing. So anyway, let me look at my notes, and yeah, okay. Everything that I planned to cover, I've covered. So now let's just focus on the shot at hand, which is this one. And again, this is not horrible. I mean, it's not bad. There's Monkey. He sort of sniffs and realizes, hey, there's something good down there. So there he goes. I just felt like I could do a better job. And the other thing was, when I thought it through, I realized, he really should ponder the bag that he stole before he notices the smell, and then responds to that. So hence this new version, which is more of a sort of a medium close-up, you can see yep, and there's another one of those sort of anime idioms that I think I want to use more liberally to sort of punch up the expression. I think this part I got right here, meaning the sniff. This is what I was trying to do in the first place. Is there's sort of he goes up and then back, up and then back, up and then back, and you get this effect. Whoa, smells good. See, so okay. So what do we do from here? We're going to have to decide what we're doing with his tail for sure, but I guess the objective at this point would be to get the whole shot done. One thing that should be interesting about this shot, and maybe some others that are going to take place in the same location, is that I actually did a background painting on a watercolor. I actually did an actual painting. Okay. So let's just kind of rock and roll here. Okay, that doesn't quite work. So here, boom. Okay, the body doesn't move. Okay, there it does. So now we want to go probably anchor this here. Hello. There we go. But yeah, like I said, Krita 4.4.3, I have only been able to crash one time. And by the way, the crash was actually not too objectionable, because what happens is if I'm here, let's say, and I'm looking at this in Vegas, okay, and then over in Krita I re-render this shot, because this particular frame is being viewed, when Krita goes to render, it'll bump into a frame that it basically can't access because of the file's essentially locked because you're looking at it at the moment. If I was over here, it wouldn't matter. But if I'm on the one that I'm actually trying to render, that will cause Krita to crash because it doesn't quite know how to deal gracefully with being told, nope, you can't save the next file you're trying to save. I don't see that as a big bug, frankly. I mean, it's kind of like I'm stupid to get myself in that pickle. Chris, I appreciate your sentiment there. It's better to be 100% ready than rush the campaign. That's what I figured. It's way, way better, in my opinion, to really make sure I'm doing what I want to do the way I want to do it. Because, you know, if it goes hog wild, I don't expect it will. I'm a cynic, you know. I always expect nobody's going to contribute anything, really. But but if it goes hog wild, I mean, you know, it's a big commitment. So, yeah, and by the way, Chris, I'm running Blender 2.93. I mentioned it, I think, in my last live stream. I like what I see. I mean, it's kind of a lot of there's a lot of nuance to the workflow where you look at every single aspect of it and you ask yourself, is this actually an improvement over the way I'm doing it over here, maybe with this other application? And for me, it remains true now that jumping to 2.93 Blender is not the right move for me. But on balance, I do think they've done a pretty good job of with what they're doing, you know, with the grease pencil in particular, obviously. So let me see. Let me hit the B key. Pop my my pen up here. Now I want to see if this is affected by those outlines at all. If this does anything to them. Doesn't look like it does. So I'm going to actually throttle down the opacity because it looks to me like it'll, oops, little bobo, looks to me like that pretty much matches the outlines better. So we'll get these in here. Yep. And this is slightly risky behavior because you do run the risk, without a doubt, of introducing chatter because you got multiple frames in a row that are essentially the same thing. But in this case, I'm probably safe. Through this segment here, he's in motion, so you kind of can get away with murder. I want to redo that one. I kind of missed. If everything's in motion, you can get away with murder. That's about the size of it. Again, you know, the bag is in motion. I'm zoomed in here so you can't see it, but the reality is the bag's bouncing around. So again, if there's a little bit of variance on the ink of the stuff that's not moving, it's probably not going to be noticed. You know, you always want to be cognizant of what your audience's attention is on. That's one thing I did notice in Fairy Tale. They do a really good job of it. You can see that, I mean, your attention will always be attracted to the eyes of the main character that's, you know, got stuff going on. And so you'll have this situation where you get this character who is moving or talking or whatever they're doing, and then you realize that the entire background, like none of it's moving at all. Like it's all frozen, man. And you just go, it's just hilarious because it works, you know. You'd think it wouldn't work, but it works really well, actually. Okay. We're getting there, folks. We're getting there. Okay. So now, kind of a choice. I think what I'll do is merge this group. So if I go Control E and merge the group, then that should give me an anomaly free, or artifact free, let's say. Yep, there we go. Version of that sequence. So, boom. Yep, that looks pretty good. Okay, that worked. So as far as the SVG import and stuff, that's not that compelling to me. You know, if you're working with SVG, then that's cool. I mean, I guess the idea of being able to bring some sort of vector asset in and maybe convert it to something else would be useful. Sound like the postman just dropped the mail. Okay, I'm not doing anything, by the way, with shadows on this shot until... Okay, so now what we need to do is I probably can just reverse these keys. Yep, I'm going to try it. Let's just give it a crack here. All right, so I'm going to take these, and then I'm going to mirror the frames. Okay, so the positioning is a little wrong because his body moves. So now we'll just go take the old animate tool and 1, 2. So, and actually our squash and stretch on the bag pretty much worked as well. Okay, so now this, I want it to be a little different. I actually want to go like that and then have a blank keyframe because I really want to get his arm out of there. Oh, Zuko's giving himself a bath. He's like in his water dish bouncing around. Okay. Okay, with the caveat, I can see that really we probably have one frame too many here. Yeah, it's happening too slowly. So I'm going to go from here and just alt copy those back. Yeah, there we go. Cool. All right, save our work. Even though Krita has not been crashing, I don't want to get too confident because as soon as you get confident, you know, you're going to lose a bunch of work. So, but I kid you not, guys, in 3 days, I've only, and by the way, I should say this, this shot right here was a grand mistake. And the reason was I took a whole 30-second shot and did the whole thing in Krita as one Krita file, right? So it's like, you know, big. Really stupid idea. Shouldn't have done that. Well, I loaded that shot, which by the time I got to the end of it, you know, Krita was just choking and crashing, and it was a nightmare. I brought that 30-second long shot into Krita 2 or 4.4.3, and it not only played back flawlessly, but it's like, you know, I could jump up 100 frames ahead, and it instantly updated like it just did, like you just saw. You know, it's like I couldn't believe it. It's like a breath of fresh air. I've never actually had any version of Krita ever that was even close to being this stable. So that's why I wanted to tell you guys about it. So anyway, boop. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna have to animate some smoke, or not smoke, but you know, the scent coming through the air, right? So again, this is the old version of the shot, and I think what I am gonna do is use the background painting that I did. As long as we're here, let's go ahead and save our work. We might as well bring this the sky and the clouds in. So what we can do here is just go copy layer, so it copied both of them, and I think that's this. Yeah, I don't want the ground in there because I'm gonna probably use my watercolor painting for the background. But okay, so let's paste the layers, Okay. And now we'll move them down like so. Okay, yeah, so for this shot, the truth of the matter is I probably don't even need a background painting. If I have this stuff in there, I think we're probably good to go. Yeah, I mean, I think so. We just need to do shadows. Yeah, this is great. Just need to do the shadows and the scent. Okay, so one wonders though, what about Monkey's tail? I think maybe just going ahead and giving a layer to his tail would not be a horrible idea. So let's just think about what that would feel like. Boom. Yeah, right there. Probably around here. Let's insert a key, and now I'm going to do this the simplest way possible, which is to go like this. And then I'm gonna do the same thing I did before. I'm gonna add a layer style, and we're gonna add a stroke. Just to be clear, again, this is nothing new in Krita. This has been here for a long time. This layer styles. I'm just a goofball and never realized it was there. I just didn't realize it was there. Never noticed it. So, all right. So if we're gonna do that, then maybe we go back one frame. And let's go ahead and turn on the onion skin so we can kind of see what we're doing. Let's see if that feels good. I suspect it's going to be too slow, actually. Ah, not too bad. Okay, so now the cool thing is we insert a key here. Let's turn the onion skins back on. And then this is relatively easy to nail. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this twice. And we'll see how it looks. Broom. Broom. Okay, not bad. Cool. Okay, yeah. So we could be... This is actually a good example of what Max Power was talking about. I think it was Max. Yeah, Max. Would this whole sequence look better at 12 frames a second? Yeah, it probably would. I mean, let's just look. You look at what his tail's doing. And you'd probably even want to add a couple more iterations of it. But, so I am not opposed to, if it really serves the show better, I mean, there's no question. There's no question that that looks better. The thing I'll have to do though, if I'm gonna go down that road, is to extend the holds and things like that. So I'm not gonna, you know, ultimately whatever works best is what we'll do. But for now, I'm gonna leave it at 8 frames a second. Okay, so if he has this reaction. Insert. I guess we should leave those onion skins on, huh? Okay, and was I in erase mode? What just happened? I was not in erase mode. What just took place? I'm actually going to go like this. And solo the layer, and for some reason we may have just hit one of our first bugs here, folks, because it doesn't seem to be doing anything. It's in normal mode. Let's turn the effects off. Let's turn the onion skins off. And if I was in erase mode, this would make sense. What is this? I don't even know what that icon does. Visible, yes. Locked, no. Oh, alpha lock, stupid. Duh. No, this is alpha lock. What the heck is this? I don't even know what this icon is. Anybody who knows what that icon does, the last one here? Let me know. I'm looking at it and seeing what pops up here. See if these are in order. Visible, locked. No, no, yes, no. Alpha locked onion skins. Oh, it's alpha locked. It is alpha locked. Huh. Oh, inherit alpha. Okay, okay, okay. Got it. Sorry. I'm pretty sure that fixed the problem. So let's go back here and let's find out. I bet you this works. Yep. Okay. So sorry about that. Little stupid attack. Okay. This should probably be... Yeah, we should get his tail out of there. So let's go like this. Get rid of those. And then... Actually, just go like that. And then, okay, so there's no reason for his tail to be stuck up there. Blah, 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 I'm happy. Okay, so now this would be, the idea here, I didn't quite get this right, but the idea is we're going to have a 2-frame tween. Okay, so we want to go boom, and then let's hit the A key, and we're going to liquefy this baby way up like that. Boink. Actually, I think I went too far. Is it possible to go too far? Okay. Now, if this was again at 12 frames a second, I'd probably do something like this. So I'll go ahead and toy with it at 8 frames a second and just see. Boom. Okay. Yeah, and then right here, kind of the same thing again. I'm going to just go like this because the liquefy tool kind of has given me the effect I want by having everything sort of curve a little bit. Insert. Okay, I think we're in the zone here. I like it. Okay, so we do have to get this smell in there. I'm liking what I'm seeing here. I'm liking it. Okay, now let me think about this. The scent, I don't think we need to animate it going into his nose. It would be kind of cool though. So let's do this. Let's turn the effects on here. Okay, let's get that baked in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it the safe way, which is Control G. We're going to merge the group. As you can see, you see those anomalies? That's Krita thinking. And now I'm going to hit Control E to merge the group. And now what that's going to do is kick up my performance because now the layer effects are baked in. So let's call this tail. So we're not being stupid. We want to make sure we give our layers somewhat useful names. This should be body. This is the monkey's body. The body is very, very, very important. At least I can say that it's very important to Monkey. He's rather attached to it, actually. Okay. Not too bad, not too bad indeed. A step in the right direction, people. We're going to have to definitely do some shadows. But I think for the moment we're in good shape. So, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Let's call this the stink. And just want to think about how I want to do this. I think let's use why don't we try this? Let's use a brush. Let's see if we can use this one. Okay, this is going to be some snaky animation going on here that's going to be kind of tricky to do. And I may use a layer effect. So, and by the way, we can always offset the timing of this, right? So, just gonna kind of take what I've learned about campfire smoke and stuff like that, and try to apply what I've learned. I have no idea if this is going to work, but I mentioned the layer effect because we could add like a glow to this or something to sort of try to pump it up a bit. But I don't know, might not need to. So you see I'm just following the contours and moving it, and I want it to be a hand-drawn look, you know. So this is gonna drift right past his nose. Let's just keep going with it, animating it straight ahead. I tend to do better when I animate straight ahead. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. Boom. I don't like that one. That's going to be a problem. Nope, that's going to be a problem too. Gotta get it like that. There we go. And then, whoop, we'll start sneaking another one in there. Oh, wait. Yeah, this one's got to be... We'll see how it works. I think this is going to work. But of course, you never can tell. You just never can tell what's going to happen. The reason I'm going ahead and drawing this all the way through is because I want to see if I can pull off getting the scent to actually be animated right up into his nose. So this should be quite interesting. I suspect I'm going to be able to do it, but, you know, calculated risk for sure. So what I'm watching for is when monkey reacts to the scent. I have quite literally no idea when that's going to happen, but I think it's coming up. I'm just going to keep following this like that. Let the onion skins guide me. And as you can see, the smell's it's gonna actually sneak past him. And then he's gonna start sniffing. So this is one of the more time-consuming bits of animation I've done. Boo-doo, boo, boo-doo, doo. Probably should start sneaking another one in there. Like that. Boom. Boom. Well, you guys want to take bets on whether this is going to work or not? I'm thinking it will. It's basically a pacing question. Is it going to wind up the whole thing's like moving too fast or something? Well, we'll see. You know, it might look choppy. You never know. I want to let this kind of... Yeah, I probably don't want to do that. I want to let it sort of dissipate as it moves past him is kind of what I'm thinking. So these ones down here should still be pretty dense, if you will. Yep, here he goes. Here's where the smoke or whatever it is going to come to life. Watch what happens. Well, this is the, you know what, the master skill of animation. It's the same master skill we have when we compose music or write computer code, is being able to take what's happening very microscopically and be able to visualize and imagine what you're gonna have once it's all sped up, you know, once it's all played quickly. I think that's a super cool thing. Oh, that's not gonna work. Now I do think we've got a little latitude here because your attention mainly is going to be on Monkey, I expect. As you can see, like I said, I'm going to let it sort of diffuse and dissipate as it moves past him. Yeah, I think probably here we should introduce another bit. Okay, that's pretty much gone. That's pretty much there. I'm waiting for Monkey to start sniffing so I can animate these guys crawling up his schnoz. Okay, let's go back here just a bit. Yeah, careful there, Dave. You're getting a little loosey-goosey on these last ones. So let's add another one there. I think that's going to be the one that goes up his nose. Every time I go to the next frame, I think, this is it. This is where he's going to start sniffing, and then he doesn't. Why, it's taking forever. Come on, baby. There we go. There we go. This is like seriously risky behavior. I probably should save my work too, by the way. Do 85,000 keyframes and then have a crash would be a little disappointing, to put it mildly. There we go. Okay, so, yep. So there's the first sniff right there. So here's what we have to do. We're going to let that one stay there, but this one's going to get pulled up. Like I said, I do not know if this is going to work. I'm going to let this one kind of, whoops. I'm going to let that one kind of get pulled back, if you will, by the gravity sort of what Monkey's doing here. I literally have no idea if this is going to work. I just don't have a clue. Never tried it before. I think we'll say that it's going to dissipate a little bit because he's sucked it out of the air. Okay. And now I'm going to let it dissipate. Alright, well, let's see what happened. This should be interesting. Hopefully it's not a disaster. Okay, we need to turn this down for sure. Kind of jump here somewhere in the middle. Let's see what happens if we use the old tried and trusty overlay mode. Okay, with white, it really doesn't make much difference. It might as well be additive mode, frankly. Normal basically looks the same. So I'm going to say let's go with something like that. Okay, let's rock and roll and see what happens. Ooh, guys, that worked. Holy smoke, that worked. I can't believe it. I'm in shock. I'm in shock, people. Alright, why don't we probably put another round of it here, though. Okay, well, okay, let me do that again. We're not going to have obviously the sniffing, but I think this goes about to frame 80. So it kind of dissipates away. I think that works. I'm kind of shocked. Let's we don't have the shadows in there, but let's go ahead and cut this into the show. So this is going to be shot 457. Okay, so this one is getting overwritten. Goodbye. Goodbye forever. Well, I guess I don't actually need to overwrite it because I already saved it under a different name. So let's render this as 457 0 through 88, I think is about right. And this is shot, again, 457. P or L is what I want. Anime. I'm on the other screen, getting my, just telling it what folder to save these in. So we want 457. Got it. Render. Okay, and these are probably JPEGs, if I'm not mistaken. Properties. Yep, nope, they're pings. Okay, so we're doing pings, and I don't want to be on those in Vegas, and it looks like somebody... Hey, Yule, how you doing? Alright, so let's render this. Hopefully that won't crash Krita. It could happen. Okay, it didn't. Let's jump over here and see if we did this properly. We didn't. Okay, so that's too bad. The quintessential problem. The base name. How stupid. Okay. I had the base name of the files wrong. That's crazy. And now it did not warn me that it was overwriting anything. So this is bad news. What this means is that things are really fouled up. Okay, so the way we fix that is we got to go back here. Okay, so right now we're dealing with shot number 457. If I look at this in Vegas, boom. Okay, if we look at this in Vegas, what do we see? Let's go to the properties and the media. The media is what? 457 render, 457 ping, and I can see what the problem is. The problem is that for whatever silly reason, the original version of this did not put a dot after the file name. Okay, so this is really, really stupid, you know, on my part. Okay, so what I need to do is take the dot out, and now before I re-render it, probably the prudent thing to do would be go to 457, just check my work here. Okay, there it is. These are all the right frames, but I'm going to delete them all. Delete them all. So we're starting clean. Boom. And now if we go back here, sorry, there, we can see there are the frames. And now I would expect when I come back here, there's the shot that we just did. Okay, so let's just see how this flows. Ooh, okay. Couple things. First of all, this is actually playing back to kind of speak to Max's comment earlier. This is actually playing back at 12 frames a second, if I'm not mistaken. Properties. Yeah, it is. So we don't have... Let me see if it's looping. Yep, we got a problem. Okay, so let me hit Control L, and I'm going to delete this out of here completely and clean the media pool. What I need to do is re-import it because the length of the image sequence is wrong, and there is no way in Vegas to change the length of an image sequence after the fact, believe it or not. I know it seems kind of crazy, but... So let's go to 457, boom, 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 render, boom. We want to open the still sequence, and okay, yeah, it's got a little wacky way of looking at what we're doing here, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it at 8 frames a second. I can always change that. And then we got to skip down here to 457. There he goes. Actually, you know what? Let's tools. Well, yeah. Let's clean the project media. I'm going to redo that. I am going to redo this. Let me jump over here. as long as we're having to re-import it anyway, why are we even using pings? JPEGs are way more performant, and for hello, I said hello. There we go. So in the show, you know, if there's no transparency required, a JPEG at 90% quality is going to look fantastimodo. So, and by the way, as long as we're here and we're doing it, let's put our freaking dot back in. How's that sound? That sounds like a plan. And there we go. Okay, Krita crashed. Okay, so now that tells me what's going on. The Krita crash does not have to do with the idea that I might be over here looking at, you know, I might have the image locked. That's not what it is. It's got something to do with actually rendering JPEGs, because every time it has happened, I've been rendering a JPEG. So fortunately, I saved my work, and I can just load it back up and re-render. Now it's conceivable. Let me think about this. Well, no, there were no files in this folder, so there was nothing for Krita to choke on as far as not being able to overwrite an image, right? So let's pop that baby back up there. Control R, and in every case I've seen so far, it does not crash. Up there, it did. It did crash. Okay, so that's really disappointing, but not horribly surprising. That quite literally, I kid you not, people, literally, the week after I decide, you know what, man, these JPEGs are so I'm gonna start rendering to JPEG, you know, because it's just way more. Is the only crash I've been able to incur with Krita 4.4.3. So all in all, I'm not complaining. All right, but we do have a problem. If we're not going to be able to use the JPEGs, let's just go back to plan A instead of plan B and use the pings, because I don't believe it has ever crashed rendering pings. But let's find out. No crash. Okay. And so now we'll come back here, and we're going to insert those guys in there. There they are. 457. Boom. Boom. And we're going to run it at 8 frames a second. And there it is. Okay. Control L, so we have our ripple editing back in between frames, if you will, by just a simple blending, which doesn't really work that well. Sniff, sniff, sniff. Geez, guys, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm thinking, okay, Yule, ping. Okay, so the difference between JPEG and ping is the following. Number one, JPEG can compress a lot more. You can get a much smaller JPEG file than a ping. Okay, I'm not going to get into discrete cosine transformations and how the compression is done, but suffice to say that you can get a lot smaller files with JPEGs, which is why they tend to be more performant when you're doing playback of an image sequence. However, the JPEG format is lossy. Lossy means that it's been compressed, right? So JPEG is lossy. The good side of JPEG is it compresses better. The bad side is that it's lossy. So you don't want to have multiple images in a production pipeline that are JPEGs, because the degradation of the images as you render and re-render will begin to pile up on itself, and your image quality will go down, 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 down. Okay. The other disadvantage with JPEGs is there is no way to have transparency in the image. So basically, the way you want to think of it is pings are compressible too. You can work with pings as compressed or not, but the basic benefit of a ping is that it is designed to be lossless. So even if you do maximum compression on a ping, you still have no degradation at all to the image. So it's a lossless compression format. The trade-off is you usually can't get the compression down as much as you can with a lossy format like JPEG. So, but ping is designed from the outset to allow you to have transparency in your images. So it would be normal if I was going to render monkey's head all by itself, I would want to render it as a ping so that in the rectangle of the image, all of this area is transparent. So the basic rule is, for a production pipeline, the basic rule is you want to be using pings. I mean, you can use TIFFs, EXRs, there's other formats you can use, but ping's a really good universal format. You know, all the web browsers understand it right out of the box, you know, that sort of thing. So the only place that JPEGs really factor into my workflow would be final render. So I've got this whole scene done. It's going to be composited into a finished image sequence where there is no need for transparency. There's no need to have any transparency information in those images because everything in that rectangle has something in it that's important. So therefore, at that stage, it makes sense to use JPEG. Now, you could get the compression down even further if you actually used MP4 video files, which you can do with FFmpeg, which this terminology may not make sense to you, but you can use FFmpeg to do the rendering in Krita. I used to do this all the time, actually. So what Krita does is it renders out a sequence of pings, and then FFmpeg, behind the scenes, turns the image sequence into a movie. Okay, now MP4 compresses down even better than JPEGs or any image sequence format, frankly, because it's able to interpolate compression in time. In other words, it can look at this frame and say, between this frame and this frame, the only things that changed were kind of in this little area right here. So the only thing it's going to encode is what's changed, let's say. So that's why your MP4 format is going to give you the ability to compress. But MP4 actually uses, if you take all the compression technology in ping and JPEG and the ability to interpolate changes over time or the absence of changes over time, basically everything but the kitchen sink is thrown into the MP4 format, which is why it's kind of a great universal format. Again, all the browsers understand it right out of the box, you know. I mean, I would say these are the three key formats that is out of a single image file. That's what EXR is for. So for me, a production pipeline between EXR, JPEG, ping, and MP4, you pretty much have everything you want to go from a clean pipeline to delivery, you know, because all the like Amazon Prime, for example, is looking for an MP4. Most of your distributors typically want a QuickTime encoded with ProRes, which is a lossless format. It results in very big files, though, much bigger than MP4s, but it is a lossless compression. So anyway, that's probably way the heck more information than you really wanted, but hey, I'm here to help you. So I think this shot came out really nice, actually. I'm pretty happy with it. I do need to do shadows, but I think I would say, how long have I been I've been live streaming an hour and a half. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I think I'll do the shadows a little bit offline later. So before I go, what I'll do is recap what I said at the beginning about the show insofar as sort of the stylistic considerations in my Dark Night of the Soul, which was that I haven't live streamed much the last 2 weeks because I've gone through my Dark Night of the Soul. And what that means is every time I've ever done a show or a movie, I always go through a period of time where I just go, oh my God, this sucks. I hate it. It doesn't work. It's not good. Nobody's going to like it. Nobody's going to buy it. Blah, blah, blah. Okay? I've never done a movie, of which I've done 8. I've never done one where I didn't go through this like real psychological trauma where I'm going, I feel like it sucks. I'm sick of it. I just want to quit, the whole thing. And I knew it would happen. It always happens with every project, and it happened at the right time, frankly. So with that in mind, let's save those changes. I went back and started looking at episode 1, and as I said at the beginning of this video, I started looking at the anime show Fairy Tail as a good example of more of the kind of stuff that I want to insert into the show. A little bit more frenetic, fun sort of stuff, like the example I gave was in this clip where Asher comes and makes his prophetic announcements. I did a bunch of things. For example, I added that quick transition there to sort of pump up the energy. Not a big deal. Right there, another transition to sort of keep things moving. Here, I'm about to add sort of an earthquake. Just the ground is shaking. You know, I added that. Just re-rendered it out of Blender, and then I gave Asher this snarky smile right here. Boom, and then watch this. Boom. See that reaction right there? That's the kind of thing you see all over the place in Fairy Tail. Well, I like that. I think that really, I think it makes it, it's probably one of the reasons Fairy Tail is popular, actually, is it makes it really fun for kids, and it makes it clear. You know, it's clear that these guys' attitude is sort of incredulous confusion, and his attitude is he doesn't like, I mean, he's angry. So I feel like, you know, we can kind of move forward with the crowdfund thing and rock and roll. So anyway, that's it for now. Looks like I've got a delay of 12 seconds on my live stream. So thanks for tuning in, and as you guys know, there will